Hello, hello, and welcome to my thought on Saturday afternoon. Um, it's summer now, and today they're opening a lot of facilities in London, and it's setting people off. And one of the things that Boris Johnson is worried about is that people are going to be so excited to go to the pub that they're going to forget about the hangover they're going to have tomorrow morning, and instead they're just going to indulge without restraint. And I am reminded of the day that spring came to the University of Michigan in 1952. 1952. And it was a memorable day that made history. Because Ann Arbor, which is where the University of Michigan is has the worst weather, except for Buffalo, New York. It has the worst weather, I think, in the world, just in the world, just terrible weather. And suddenly, and it was late. It was I think probably May. Uh, the sun came out, and it was too much for the students that had been sitting in the gloom and the snow and shivering and plowing their way through snow, ice, rain, mud to get to class. The University of Michigan is a very heady, marvelous place. I don't know how it is now, but I'm talking about in the 50s. It was one of the most exciting places you could be, but the weather was absolutely horrible when all you cared about was getting indoors. And suddenly the sun came out, and you could go outside without a coat. And it was just too much. And one young man was so overwhelmed with the beauty of the day that he took out his cornet. It's like a little bugle, and he played a little spring ditty. And for some reason, that set off all the boys in the fraternity houses and the male dormitories. The women, of course, didn't pay any attention. We had better things to do. We had studying, uh, and we had exams, and we had our own concerns. But the boys heard that song, and it just stimulated their testosterone to the point of to explosion. And so they ran out of their dormitories and their fraternity houses, and they raided the women's sorority houses and the women's dormitories. And at that time, we didn't have Victoria's Secret. We didn't have easily accessible pornography on our computers. And evidently, these young men were very excited touching women's underwear. So they stole women's underwear from the girls, with the girls standing in the room fighting, saying, "No, you can't have it," and strung them on lampposts, on trees, on telephone wires, because we had telephone wires then. Uh, all through Ann Arbor, you could see women's panties, women's bras, slips, all hanging outside, waving in the spring breeze. And I'm guessing it was spring. I'm guessing it was around May. Um, I was at that time in a woman's dormitory called Mosier Jordan, and I lived on the fifth floor where the water pressure was so bad that you couldn't take a shower. So I would walk down to the third floor and take my shower on the third floor. And I had decided on this particular evening, before the man played the cornet, to take a shower on the third floor. And so I went down, and I remember I had a green robe with lots of pockets, and in the pockets I had the soap and the washcloth and the back brush and the body lotion and the deodorant. And I was going to shampoo my hair, so there was the shampoo and the extra towel, all in these little pockets. And I walked down the back stairs, um, mainly because in those days you were very modest, and I didn't want people to see me in my bathrobe. So I walked down the back stairs, and I took my shower, and it took quite a while because I was washing my hair, and I was just making myself as beautiful. And if you're looking at me now, you realize that was an impossible task, but I was making myself as beautiful as I possibly could. God only knows why. And then as I walked out of the shower, I heard an awful lot of racket, just a lot of screaming and a lot of racket. But I had studying to do, and I had things to do, so I walked up the back stairs again, never seeing any of this. And in the front stairs, there were men running in and out of the dormitory, opening up bureau drawers and taking out all the underwear. When I got upstairs, we were on the fifth floor, and they didn't get up to our floor And so I had no idea what was going on. And then I looked out the window, and of course, all havoc had taken place. And the thing that we learn from this, and I'm hoping that the people that go to the pubs learn from this, that it was absolute hysteria. It was absolute hysteria. And the next morning we all went out. Of course, I didn't have to because they didn't come up to they didn't get up to the fifth floor. But all the women went out and tried to retrieve the underwear that was theirs, that was flying around in the Ann Arbor breeze. And what I take from that is that young men were so frustrated then because morals were very rigid, especially in America, that the nearest they could get to what they wanted was the underwear that covered it. And nowadays, we don't have that. Nowadays, for example, when I went out on a date, and I did go very often, thank God, when I went out on a date, the idea was that they kissed you on the third date. The third date. And if they didn't kiss you, then you knew, and no tongue, just on the third date. And if they didn't kiss you on the third date, you knew that this relationship was not going to work. It wasn't going anywhere. And every relationship in those days had to go somewhere because the goal of every woman was to find somebody to support her and take care of her for the rest of her life. So that was the third date. Nowadays, if you don't have sex on the first date, they're done with you, and blowjobs are a way of life. So nobody's really that excited about the fancy underwear because the fancy underwear is a thing of the past. We can wear it now, but we wear it only so that it can be taken off. And that's my philosophical Saturday thought as everybody in Britain is trooping to the pub to get absolutely plastered. And thank you so much for joining me for my thought.